Hi guys, welcome to another one of my videos. I'm really excited about this particular video because I've seen so many booktubers doing this particular type of video and I have been saving it for months. One, because I want to do this type of video just on books that I've read in 2025. So I knew I was going to want it to be more towards the end of the year. And then as I was thinking about it, I was like, reading one-star ratings of my top favorite books would be perfect to do in the month of October because what's scarier than people's horrible comments on the books that you love so much? I mean, it's enough to give you nightmares as it is. Probably laugh a lot and find it absolutely hilarious. I think everybody's entitled to their own opinions. Just because I love a book and somebody else doesn't, there's nothing wrong with them and there's nothing wrong with me. We just have differences of opinions, and I love to hear people's opinions on these things, right? I mean, there's so many people that see Fourth Wing as god tier book. It was good, 5-star, loved it. God tier? No, I'm sorry. So again, we all have our differences of opinion, and I really cannot wait to just see what people are saying about some of my favorite books. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to hit it right in the hurts right away. We're getting it out of the way, guys. And we're going to start with everybody's 1-star reviews on Quicksilver. I haven't read any of the reviews yet on Goodreads or anything like that. I have been very careful about that stuff. So as I read these, it's going to be new for me. Personally, I don't think Quicksilver is going to have any 1-star reviews, but that's just me personally. But let's find out. Let's see, DNF'd at 32%. I've been hearing about this book nonstop being in capitals, in many of my book groups. High praise for it. The first few chapters, the writing though, will likely trash this book in my review. I don't know. Still working on this one. I totally get it. When I reviewed this book, I said the exact same thing about the writing. The writing, you guys, was not the greatest. In a lot of ways, Quicksilver ended up being the most surprising book of the year for me because the writing was so bad. And normally when I read a book and the writing is horrendous in the beginning, and usually 90% of the time when my rating is that low, it's because I couldn't get past the writing. I think what saved Quicksilver was just the story. I was so engrossed in the story that eventually I just forgot about the writing and how bad that was. I totally get where this person is coming from because I felt the same way. I'm convinced everyone is being held at gunpoint rating this 5-star. I promise you, I was not held at gunpoint. Oh my gosh. I love that one. Okay, then see, we got another one talking about the writing style. I feel so bad for all talented fantasy authors because how is this popular? The dialogue and writing are so derogatory minimal. Fair. The writing was horrible, and I'm glad I'm not the only one that saw that. DNF'd 30%. Another viral book talk book doesn't live up to the hype for me. Shock. So if you're happy with fantasy not getting the full picture with detail but heavy on romance, you might like this, providing you can get past the clunky writing and cringy dialogue. Oh, and that the MMC being called Kingfisher, who is not a Pokemon with that name. Okay, Kingfisher can be kind of a Pokemon name. And thanks, now I can't unhear that. But I love Kingfisher, so, we can't help what our parents choose to name us. I muscled through 6 half hours of this audiobook and simply couldn't stomach a moment more. What book are y'all reading? Because I haven't heard of her. This book, however, was trash. You want me to swoon for a man that calls it wet folds? Not once, not twice, but multiple times. I'd rather peel my skin, okay, she doesn't have the best grammar either. I'd rather peel my skin off and staple it back on inside out. Thanks, though. Also, the typos alone are an army too big and powerful for me to conquer. Publishing has been deteriorating by and large as literary consumerism has begun to supersede its capitalism. This and Fourth Wing alike show the discredit showed toward editing. Sorry, let me shut my mouth and allow those who feast to enjoy their harvest. To those who celebrate, be merry. To those who fester, I am in the dark crevices beside you, longing and willing to draw the deepest hate at a moment's notice. All who gather here, beware. Okay, that was a bit scary. Again, though, fair. I have been noticing the same thing, and I've even talked to my husband about it. There are so many authors nowadays with the way that our economy has driven towards the digital age. More and more people aren't even going through publishers anymore to publish their books. They're just doing it themselves online. You can go on Amazon, create an account, and make your own book. Like you can download your own book for people to purchase right then and there, just as it is. It's not like Amazon edits it or fixes typos or anything. No, that's your responsibility. There's going to be a lot of typos and stuff because that's just the industry we've gotten in lately. And a lot of people don't want to go to an editor. They go to a friend. They try to do it themselves and they think it looks good. They rely on the good old internet and software to fix typos, which, yes, okay, it can fix typos, but it's not going to fix grammar, you guys. In my opinion, if you want to make money as an author with books, and this is coming from someone who's writing a book herself, you can't skip steps, and you have to be willing to pay to earn money. You have to pay out money, right? And if you really want your book to be successful, you really need to think about paying for a decent editor before you self-publish your own book. I mean, that's just, I could go on about this forever. I mean, I do have to agree with this person here. So many of our literary books are deteriorating. And I can speak clearly I'm in my 40s, you guys. I've read a lot of books and I can tell you for sure it has deteriorated to the point where when I read a Nora Roberts book this month, and this is the first author, like an old time author that I have read. I've been reading more new age, new books here in 2025, new recommendations from Book Talk, things like that. When I got into the Nora Roberts book, I felt dumb. I honestly did. It took me a bit to understand things because it's so literate. It is so good. It is so top notch. And then I looked at my husband and I'm like, I'm starting to worry that all of these illiterate books are dumbing me. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love them. I love them. And again, Quicksilver is a perfect example of that for me. But I was going, I hear her. Okay, again, Quicksilver, top tier book for me. But again, the literature, the writing it was cringe, you guys. It was. This is terrible. There's no way anyone with a developed prefrontal cortex can enjoy this unless you're into dumb dialogues and even dumber MCs. No. Oh my gosh. I guess I don't have a developed prefrontal cortex. Oh my gosh. I was wondering what was wrong with me. I've been diagnosed. Yes. Okay, anyways, I gotta finish. Don't get me wrong, the start is great. The idea and the world in which this is set is actually quite interesting. But as with many books in this genre, our independent, self-sufficient, and strong FMC turns into a useless, horny buffoon when she meets her eventual love interest. The MMC? You're telling me you're 1,000 plus years old and you talk and act like a fucking moody teenager in his emo stage? What grown-ass woman finds that attractive? Okay, to be fair to Kingfisher, okay, he's been through a lot. I mean, imagine your life and your lifespan, where you're at right now. I mean, depending on the age of those watching, me, I'm 40 years old and I have been through hell. Okay, I've got traumas, I've got issues. I'm not in therapy, but if I was, they would be getting a lot of money from all of the drama and the stuff I've been through. And that's only been 40 years. Now, can you imagine 1,000 years? 1,000 years of what he has been through, I think he has a right to be a grumpy teenager. Okay. He's been through so much. And so I can totally get why he's there. Also, dear authors, respectfully, please don't gaslight the readers about the MCs being funny. It doesn't work. Just write funny scenes and dialogues to make us laugh. Don't write cringy jokes and quips that are not funny at all, and then have the side characters finding the MC hilarious as if that's going to make us think the joke was good. The FMC was making dreadful comebacks throughout, which would have her be laughed out of. I mean, that's kind of fair too. I don't necessarily agree with that. I actually liked the humor and I got the humor and I thought it was funny. However, everybody's humor is different. And so I can imagine some people not finding some of the jokes in the book funny, kind of like falling flat. So that's fair. I get that. I totally get that. Okay, made it 25%. I just can't do it. This one was underwhelming. If you've read any romantasy book in the past 2 years, you've already read this one. There's obviously a reason so many people are enjoying this book. Unfortunately, it didn't work for me. I don't normally rate books that I DNF'd, but the average rating for this is very misleading. I mean, I don't know. I don't agree. I think it was a very good book. And honestly, there isn't a lot of 1 stars. Yeah, I mean, it's a very small percentage of people that 1 star of this. I mean, it's got a high rating of 5 stars. I'm gonna have to move to another book again. This is just making me sad. But just like quick scrollings, I see a lot of death emoji faces and things like that going on here. Some people didn't like it, but it does seem like the biggest consensus is the same problem that I had with it, and that was the writing. Definitely needed more editing, needed more work. Okay, I don't know. I may be hurting myself with this one, but we're going to read some 1 stars reviews on Gods and Monsters. I read City of Gods and Monsters, and that's the only book I've read. I haven't finished the series, not because I don't like it. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. And so I am a bit nervous to hear about their comments, their 1 star comments, because again, I thought that it was a god tier book. And again, I just haven't gotten to the other books. They're really big and there's just so much that I'm trying to get through that I just, yeah, it has nothing to do with the book itself. It's just me, I guess. I don't know. And it's a series I want to finish, but I haven't read any of the other books. So I'm a bit nervous about reading the 1 stars, but here we go. I'm going to read the top one on the list. This was Timo Crescent City, and no one can convince me otherwise. Okay. I can see it. And a lot of people, even people that have that 5-starred this, have said the same thing, that it gave them Crescent City vibes, but that was part of the charm for them and why they loved it. So I think that's just more of a personal thing in my opinion. Like, some people could see that as a good thing, some people can see that as a bad thing. So I personally loved that it kind of had Crescent City vibes to it. Oh my God, words cannot express how much I couldn't stand this book or the characters. Darian tries so hard to be dangerous and edgy, and that's honestly so embarrassing for him. Lauren is utterly useless the whole time in a way that's so pathetic. I couldn't tell you why people feared him or why she was infatuated with this man. Are we seriously giving him brownie points because he told some man that she can wear whatever she wants? The bar is roasting far down in the pits of hell. Okay, again, some fair points, okay, or some fair points. I personally loved that Lauren was more low key. I mean, I feel like so many heroines this day and age are all these like stuck up, I don't need any help. I'm going to go off and get myself into trouble because I'm going to do everything on my own, kind of feminism. And, that just drives me nuts. Okay. Because at the end of the day, women are tough. We're badass. We can do a lot of crap. But you know what? That doesn't mean we have to. Okay. Just because a man wants to help you, you don't automatically have to assume he's calling you weak. I mean, why do women think that way? Oh, I know, because other women are telling them they have to, I personally love it when I can't open a jar. I can give the jar to my husband and he can open it for me. We are a team. We help each other out. That's how we see it. He's always helping me. I'm helping him. And we help each other and we do it together. And that's where relationships should work. and anymore these days, the feminists just piss me off because so much stuff would not happen in a book if the feminist would just pull her feminism out of her own ass. I don't necessarily agree with this person. I liked that she was calm and she was quiet and she was respectful and she accepted who she was and she accepted her dynamic and she didn't just go running off. Oh, I don't need help, and then just Lois it into some kind of situation that she can't get herself out of, and the MMC has to go rescue her again and again and again and again because she keeps getting herself in stupid situations and refusing to ask for help. No, she was calm. She was collected. She accepted where her lot was in life, and she asked people around her for help. Honestly, asking somebody for help is one of the hardest things a person can do in their life. And I think it takes incredible strength and honesty and power to look at somebody and say, hey, I need help. Save yourself. It was terrible. I've met dogs with more personality than these characters, and I'm a cat person. Sorry. They were so boring. I felt like I was watching paint dry. The FMC was a side character in her own story. The big bad devil was in fact a golden retriever from the very beginning. Loads of side characters that were nothing more than names on a page. The plot was dragged on for 700 pages at 3 miles per hour, and if it wasn't for the fact that I was listening to the audiobook, I wouldn't have finished it. Okay, it was a long book, but I think a lot happened, and I felt like for me, it was like nonstop action. And that's what I loved about it. To me, it wasn't slow paced. It was actually quite a bit fast paced. Now, I do agree that Darian ended up being like golden retriever. And I actually loved that. I absolutely loved that. You know, it tells his personality, it tells his story and where he is and why he ended up there. And I can totally see why he is the way that he is. And I love that he has got this air of danger about him, but he's so lovable, so golden retriever, especially when it comes to her. But at the same time, I feel like if something were to happen to her, he would burn the world down for her. And that's no joke. I don't think I've ever struggled so much with a book in my life. This just dragged. It's a long book. Okay? It's a long book. To each their own. Oh, what a fucking waste of time. I really need to get better at DNFing books. How can a book so long feel like nothing happened? How can one woman shiver so often? Is she okay? How can two people be so boring? I had to skip the last 30 or so pages because I found them so mortifying. I liked the last 30 pages. A lot happened, but okay. I mean, you got to do what you got to do. So now I'm going to move on to another book. I wanted to try to rate at least 4 books. I didn't want to do more than 4 because I wanted to be able to read enough descriptions and kind of talk about them a little bit and our varying opinions. And I knew if I did more than 4 books, this video would be like 5 hours long. So the next one I'm doing is The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig. I loved this book. I loved The Gargoyle. This wasn't a God tier book for me, but it was definitely a 5 stars, and I would definitely read it again. And it's a series I definitely want to continue when book 2 comes out. So I was curious what other people had to say. Nope. Won't recommend. Okay. 1 star, DNF. Maybe I should forget about romantic YA fantasy genre forever. Okay. I mean, if that's how you feel. Pulls a rabbit out of a dusty top hat. Guess 2 impossible things happened today. The rabbit and me not liking this book. Okay, I'll admit I didn't actually pull a rabbit out of a top hat. The only magic trick I've consistently mastered is making the food on my plate disappear. What did happen is that I disliked this book thoroughly. Looking back, I think dislike is being generous. I've been waiting for this release for months, holding it close to my chest as though it were my sole comfort in the world. For a while there, it was death. Hoping its warmth would revive my reading spirit from the dark depths of my overwhelming life. No such luck. How do you write your debut duology in such a wondrous, layered manner, only to follow it up with a book so hollow it tricks me into thinking you had something meaningful to say again? Okay, she's going on and on at this point, and she's kind of rambling and stuff, but the point is, she didn't like it. DNF'd at page 113. I loved the writing of the Shepherd King, but this is like a devotional of style. It's gone midnight. My turn of phrase is being weird, and it's so clunky and bland. It's so awkwardly written with no flow. I was literally winching at the pedestrian and or bad sentence construction and turn of phrase. None of the characters are appealing. All of them horrifically one-dimensional and lacking any character other than the archetype they represent. I kind of agree a little bit. The characters could have used a little bit more dimension. Again, still loved the book totally, but I can honestly see where she was coming from with that review. Tried so hard to like this, but I could not. Fair. Basic baddie goes to Middle Ages. We don't like violence, but kick everyone in the crotch. If I hear oi one more time, I'm gonna die. With hate from a high fantasy reader. Okay. DNF'd 21%. Wouldn't give a rat's ass if anyone in this book lived or died. Your thoughts have been noted. Woo! A hard DNF. And when I tell you this was my biggest letdown of this year as a person who shoved one dark window down every person's throats, I tried to push through this one, but it was never going to hold me. Okay. Nope, I feel like I've been absolutely tricked and it's my fault. I feel for everyone overselling this book. It wasn't good. I only forced myself to finish it because I was dumb enough to pay for it. I'm so disappointed in it. Okay, I mean, I guess I can understand that. There's definitely been books that I have read that honestly I don't think I rated as high as I could have, only because I'd read so much hype about the book and people who'd already read it, and they had hyped it up so much that I was expecting epic proportions, and then when I read it, it didn't meet what I felt I should have been feeling based on people's reviews of the book. So, I mean, that's fair. I mean, and I remember when I was talking about my reads with Fourth Wing that I felt that that was part of what my problem had been. I was expecting a god tier book with, or I was expecting a god tier series with Fourth Wing, and I think a lot of the hype that I was hearing about Fourth Wing kind of played in that. I was expecting more than what I felt I got in the series, and I feel like all of the raving about Fourth Wing was in part as to why that ended up being that way for me. And all of the people that read Fourth Wing when it first came out, right? You didn't have your judgment hindered by the things that people were saying. You went in blind, you went in not knowing anything, and you got to experience the book just for what it was and not have that thing in the back of your head going, "Oh, it's going to be a great book. It's going to be a great book. Everybody's raving about it," you know. So I do feel that sometimes those ratings can kind of get into our head a little bit, and then we expect greatness just to be disappointed, and then that affects our overall rating, if that makes sense. DNF 17%. Too many characters dumped into the story at once without distinct personalities. Yeah, I can kind of see that. But I also understand where the author was coming from with that, because if you're just going to be putting, okay, and this is going to be a spoiler. So if you've not read The Night and the Moth, please skip ahead a little bit. So again, spoiler warning right here. A bunch of characters end up dying. They don't have a big role. There's no point wasting paper and words and building all of these characters just for them to play such a little role and then end up dying at the end. The author, in my opinion, gave them just enough personality to get you to love them and be sad when you found out that they were gone, but not so much that it was just like, why did we even go here? It was pointless if they were just going to die. So I understand where these guys are coming from, but at the same time, I also know why the author did what she did. DNF'd at chapter 4. It's just not for me, unfortunately. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. DNF, the story was so predictable, I could not care less about how this book ends. Okay, I kind of felt the same way too. It was definitely predictable, but it didn't really bother me. There was a couple things that ended up being a bit of a surprise, but for the most part, I predicted the book. However, again, I'm in my 40s. I've read a lot of books. It's very rare for me to not be able to predict a book, and I'm not going to let that deter me from reading and enjoying books, because if I didn't read a book because I could predict it, I wouldn't read any books except for Nora Roberts, because she's the only one that still seems to surprise me in her writing. Oh my goodness. I would like to wash my eyes with acid. God, where to begin with this book? For the first half, I found it so utterly boring. I wanted to DNF so badly. The characters are thoroughly unlikable, and the dialogue made me want to throw myself off a cliff. Apparently, the love interests are supposed to be in their mid-20s, but I legit thought they were like 15. They seemed to aggressively flirt for no real reason. I do feel like they went from absolutely hating each other to being almost insta love, right? Like in normal enemies to lovers type tropes, there's a middle building between in the relationship that kind of takes you on that journey with them from the enemies aspect to the lovers aspect. Night and Moth didn't quite do that. It was like enemies, oh nope, we're lovers. And it's just kind of like, where's the middle? I mean, that again, that didn't deter me at all. I still love the two of them together. I'm rooting for them in the next book. This was actually so mediocre and bland. Dear God, that was terrible. I wish I could DNF books. Her writing style is just not for me. I actually liked her writing style. It wasn't too bad. I mean, I've definitely read worse. So yeah. So there's a lot of references about the Shepherd King duology, and I've never read those. I'm assuming that it may be a duology that this same author wrote, but I can't really say much on that because I haven't read those. A lot of people are saying I wanted to like it, that they were looking forward to it. It was so hyped, but after reading it, it didn't meet the hype. And that seems to be the general 1-star consensus on this book. So let's go ahead and move on to my fourth and final book for this video. I really went through my books and I wanted to pick something a little bit different. I feel like I have been mostly talking about fantasy romance books, so I wanted to go a little different. And I decided that I was going to read some 1-star reviews on King of Wrath by Ana Huang. It was my first Ana Huang book. I'm absolutely loving the series so far, even though I've only read 2 so far. Let's see what the people who didn't like this book thought of it. The only wrath I'm feeling is my own after reading this. Okay. Okay, so some of these reviews, I'm thinking that, okay, I haven't read the Twisted series yet, but I'm thinking that some of these people in this new series that she's creating have had debuts in the Twisted series. Here's one person who's like, it would have been a 1.5, but Christian was in it, and I can't tolerate that freak. Okay. DNF'd 41%. Ana Huang's books are overhyped, but they can definitely help with insomnia. Okay, I don't feel like that was a burn on the book so much as the author herself. And ouch! I'm feeling the singe on that comment. Woo! I actually like Ana Huang so far. Again, I've only read 2 of her books, but I'm actually liking her. And once I'm done with this series, I definitely want to read the Twisted series. Although I'm starting to think I probably should have started with the Twisted series. But oh well. Sometimes I like to do things backwards. Mediocre books are worse than bad books. I don't agree with that. I've read mediocre and I've read bad. And bad is just bad. I would prefer mediocre over bad any day. Forcing myself to finish this should count as self-harm. Oh, that's so bad. Well, I hope you went and found a counselor to talk to. And I hope you're okay. Life check, please. I audibly gasped at the level of doormat she was displaying. I can't even on that one. One thing that 2023 taught me is to never take any recommendations from TikTok. Okay, honestly, any recommendation is gonna be a 50-50 shot. It's like a question, a multiple choice question where there's an A and a B. And if you don't know the answer, you're just going to have to luck out, right? I mean, because all of our opinions are going to differ. And that's just a part, like, if you're willing to listen to anybody, even myself included, when it comes to recommending a book, there's going to be a chance you're not going to feel the same way as me. And, and I've even picked up books that nobody recommended. I just liked the cover of the book and ended up hating it. So honestly, it's not TikTok's fault. It's not people's recommendations fault. I come from an era where there was no TikTok, there was no YouTube, there was no Google, there was no internet. You just had to figure stuff out for yourself. There was no recommendations unless you got it from a friend firsthand. That's just life. You're gonna see something that you might like, and then you're gonna buy it, and then you're gonna decide it's not for you. It happens all the time. That's just life, guys. So, I mean, I wouldn't blame TikTok. I found great books through TikTok. I found not great books through TikTok. I found great books by just going into a library and finding it and reading it and loving it. And I found books that I hated by going and buying it. It's the same thing with movies. I still have a DVD on my shelf that I watched one time and I was like, oh my God. Like I wasted 2.5 hours of my life on one of the dumbest movies I think I've ever watched. Again, that's life. That's life. You're not always gonna like the books that other people like, and you're always gonna be taking a chance. It's so bad I want to give you a 0, but that's not possible, so I give you a 1. I loved the book, and I loved the characters, and I loved the build of the story. The characters are so similar in every book she writes. The Billionaire CEO just felt like the exact same as the other books she wrote. I mean, I can't say, again, I've only read 2 of her books, but I felt that they were different. I mean, is it kind of billionaire romancy? Yeah. And I could imagine that if you read all of the books back to back, straight through, I could probably see it starting to be a little redundant feeling because they are billionaire romance books. That's the main genre. That's the trope of the series. And even if you weren't reading an Anna Wong book, even if you were reading different books in different series, if they were all billionaire CEO romance style trope, you would start feeling a repetitiveness going on. You can't, I can't say you can't. Some people can binge a certain trope over and over repeatedly and not feel like it starts getting a little repetitive. But I'm not that person. I definitely feel like it can start getting repetitive for me in any book, in any genre with different authors. It can all be different authors, different books, same trope. And I'd start getting a little tired of it. So what I like to do is I like to split my books up. I'll read a couple regular romance fantasies, and maybe I might, change things up with a dark fantasy, or I might go with a nice, squishy, lovey, dovey romance comedy type style book, and then go into a dark fantasy followed by a mafia romance or a billionaire CEO romance. I have to give the books their best chance. And in order to do that, I have to change it up with some different reads in between. And it's been working great for me. If you liked the Twisted series, you cannot go based on that for this series. It is in no way the same. And by the time the end of the book came, I was ready for the book to be over. This was disappointing. And this seems to be, I was reading ahead on some of the other comments. A lot of people had this opinion. They didn't like it because they were expecting it. Again, expectations were high. The Twisted series was really good. They were expecting a certain level for this first book in a new series, and they ended up being disappointed with it. That seems to be a big part of a lot of these 1-star comments. It hurt sitting through this book. Lack of chemistry, terrible writing, the most dull characters. I didn't agree with that. I thought the characters were spunky and funny, and they kind of fit with the personalities and the things that they've been going through. I mean, if that's honestly how they felt about the characters, then I could see why they didn't like it and why they ended up giving it a 1-star. So this is going to conclude my video today. I just stuck with the 4 books for now. I'm probably going to end up doing another one of these because this is actually pretty fun. If you enjoyed this video, if you want to stick around, I would greatly appreciate it. Stick around, subscribe. I'll be talking about all sorts of things. My opinions are going to definitely be different than a lot of people, especially considering how I come from an era where books and writing were so different than what they are now. It used to be that reading was all you had to do, really, when you were younger and there was snowing, you couldn't go outside. We didn't have video games, things like that. So they were our good places, right? Now I feel like books and writing of books have changed so much. I don't know, they just don't put as much work into the books anymore as they used to, at least in my opinion. That definitely shines through in some of my books. And if you're someone like me who's a little bit older of a reader, come on in, join me, join my little group of people. There's not many of us on here yet. I am a small channel. I welcome you with open arms. Let's chat books. Any of the books that I mentioned today, if you guys read them, let me know your personal opinions on some of them. I am genuinely curious, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.